This meeting is being recorded.
Hello.
Men nog push press record on iCloud. Go. Thank you. Record. Oh, oh, right.
Hello.
Il y a quelqu'un qui est là déjà, non? Kim.
Ça doit être
Ouais,
Fireflies,
docteur.
chez Fireflies. Tamar Lawful, ok.
Ouais, j'admets.
Oui.
Hi, hello there.
Hello.
Nice to see you again, Tamar.
You too, Kim.
How would you like me to say your name? I forgot to write down if it's Tamar,
It's Tamar. It's Tamar.
Okay.
Yes.
And simple with me, it's Kim, but we'll have some fun with Claudie. Claudie's from France, where I'm from too. And so you say her name, Claudie, kind of like Claudia Schiffer. I don't know if you remember her.
Claudia.
That's my only reference.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you, Claudie.
My pleasure. Can't wait to hear all you have to say.
So Tamar, Claudia is our program director. She's the one who developed our program of brain stimulation using sensory enrichment. She's also my mom. Don't know if we'll have a chance to talk about it in the podcast, but and Claudie, this is Tamar. She's well, I can read her bio, but top 50 most influential pharmacists.
Ooh, I love pharmacists. They're
Thank
so
you.
educated. I keep telling the people I work with, ask your pharmacist. They're not shopkeepers. They are scientists. So I'm happy.
True. So true. Thank you. It's nice to find someone who loves us.
Yeah.
So Tamar does something unique. She blends pharmacy, nutrition, and genomics.
Yes.
Is that how you say it?
Yeah, genomics. Some people say genomics. I like to say genomics.
Genomics. Okay. And so she founded a program called Inner Glow. Inner Glow. We have to say it fastly. It sounds like Inner Glow, but then
Inner
we
Glow,
explain it's
yeah.
Inner Glow.
Right.
And so you send a DNA test, and then based on the results, she does a whole bunch of optimizing around nutrition and things like that.
Oh, fascinating.
So yeah, that's what we're gonna talk about today. So sorry, I sound a little bit distracted because I'm trying to bring my script all in front of my eyes so it doesn't look too much like I'm reading stuff. But
No
I am
problem.
ready to go. Any questions on your end, Tamar?
Oh, no questions on my end. Looking forward to this conversation. I might mute every once in a while because my allergies are attacking me all of a sudden. So
I'm going to edit this, and I'm going to edit bits, and there's AI that automatically edits out, like ums and sneezes and stuff like that. So don't worry about it. It'll get cleaned up in post production, as they say.
Okay, great.
All right. Like I said, I've got everything ready to go, Claudie. We can start.
Okay.
Ready?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Here's my visual clue. Welcome to season 2 of the Happy Sensory Corner podcast. At Mendability, we want to help everyone especially when they are vulnerable, to feel happier, more comfortable in their own skin, more confident so that they can be their true selves. And we can all journey together through life more happily. Our contribution is to work on brain health. And as our brains go stronger and healthier, the idea is all of us benefit. But especially those among us who maybe struggle with sleep or who are overwhelmed by the barrage of information from the environment, who are super anxious or struggle with abstractions. And so we developed a program of gentle, family centered, whole brain games that boosts brain development and activates the brain's self-healing mechanisms. It's based on the neuroscience field of environmental enrichment, and we call it sensory enrichment. And so we're experts in boosting brain development, but there is so much more that parents have to navigate. For example, we're not experts in nutrition. And so I'm delighted to discuss nutrition today with Dr. Tamar Lawful. Dr. Tamar Lawful is celebrated as one of the top 50 most influential pharmacists. She's at the forefront of blending pharmacy, nutrition, and genomics. And this is going to be a fun episode. Dr. Tamar is the CEO of Life Balance, and we'll ask her why she spelled it with a Y, because I think this is fun. And she developed the Inner Glow program, a genetic-based health coaching program that looks at your DNA to guide where to focus, what you should eat, how you should exercise, etc. Dr. Tamar is, she and I had some time to chat earlier, and we also talked about ways to prioritize self-care without guilt. I think that's also going to be very useful. So, Tamar, we're excited to have you with us today. Thank you for being on the podcast.
Thank you for having me, Kim. It's my pleasure to be here.
And of course, we have Claudie. Claudie is our brain guru extraordinaire. She's the one who developed sensory enrichment therapy, and she is also my mom. Hi, Mom.
Hello, son.
So, Tamar, can I call you Tamar?
Yes, yes, please.
I'd love to start by asking about your journey. Is there something that happened to little Tamar that maybe sort of sparked something and guided you on your journey to becoming not just a traditional pharmacist, but going into genomics?
Well, yeah, I would say you're on point. Something did happen to little Tamar. I was a teenager actually, and my grandmother was dying of lung cancer, and she lived in Jamaica. So my mom sent my brother and I there to visit her on her deathbed. And it was in that visit where I actually decided not necessarily to be a pharmacist, but I was going to do something that I was going to help people get better so that they can avoid being sick or just not get sick at all. Or while they're sick, like my grandmother, definitely have more comfort because I felt so helpless in that moment as seeing her on her deathbed, and there was nothing I could do, nothing anyone could do. So I made that resolve that day within myself to do something to help others with their health. Uh, so when it came to the time for me to decide, what am I going to go to college for? My mom had a conversation with me, and I recalled that experience with my grandmother. And I told her, I want to help people who are sick get better. My mom's a nurse. And she said, okay. And I said, I think I should just be a nurse like you. And my mom said, no, you can't be a nurse. You're not allowed to be a nurse. I want you to do something else. And I said, okay, so what can I do? Now, growing up, in our Caribbean household, we relied a lot on herbs and plants for medicine and whole foods from the ground to eat.
Mm.
So honestly, as a child, I didn't get sick much. I can remember I had chicken pox, and then in fourth grade, I had a stomach flu. That's all I remember as far as being sick as a child. Um, so my mom had me do my research and talk to people, biomedical engineers, doctors, and respiratory therapists. And we barely went into a pharmacy because we didn't need to. but we came across pharmacy. I was like, oh, let me see what pharmacy is about. I went to a pharmacist, spoke to a pharmacist, and said, okay, I think this is it. I don't have to necessarily be in the room with a patient who's sick because that was so uncomfortable. I don't want to relive that experience again, but I can still help them. So I'm going to be a pharmacist. And I really was interested in learning how these medications actually work to help people. So that's how I got into the interest in pharmacy. But now pivoting to the genetics as a result of my personal journey and trying to understand what my body needed. So I actually turned to nutrition first. And in my studies of nutrition is where I came across genomics and how our foods and environment can actually affect our genetics. And knowing how our genes will respond to certain things, external factors, we can actually take control of our health and make some well-informed decisions. And that's where I started studying nutrigenomics, and now I use that in my practice.
And this is what got me excited when I was when I came across your work and I came across you specifically, because this idea of impacting the expression of your genes with your environment is something that I, kind of knew. It's kind of people are becoming more and more aware, but food specifically, what kind of foods can activate certain gene expressions versus others. And I was thinking of all the clients that we work with who autism, the consensus these days, it's 50% environment, 50% genetics. We can, and then this idea of affecting the environment and affect the genetics at the same time, that's really cool. I mean, there's a strong possibility that what we do with sensory enrichment is also having an impact on how the genes are being expressed. But we don't have a lot of clinical data in that area. And so I'm really curious to know what you know about how to impact how the brain functions in particular, or maybe how the gut functions. We know how, there's this really strong connection between how the brain works and how your gut works. 90% of your serotonin, which the brain uses to learn, to grow, to process the environment, is produced by the digestive system. So lots of really good reasons to make this very powerful for our autism parents, even though the episode says genomics, right? So I'm super excited. I don't want to forget your program or your company is called Life Balance. Is that right?
That's correct.
And you spell it with a Y. Can you tell us why?
I do, Kim, because that ties into the other reason that led me into launching my company. LIFE is an acronym, LYFE, for love yourself first every day. And that is pretty much the mantra for what I tell my clients and for myself, my personal life as well. Because in my personal life, I was not putting myself first. I was not loving myself first. I was putting everyone else first. I was a full-time mom working night shifts at the hospital, newly married. I was serving on the board of 3 nonprofits. Very, very busy, and my health was going down the drain. I was on the cusp of pre-diabetes, and my weight was just going up. That seemed to be the only thing I could actually do right, was gain weight when it came to my health. So I had to take a step back and think, what is it I need to do? I needed to start prioritizing myself. I needed to start cutting some of those responsibilities out. One, for my health, and as well to be able to spend time with my family, because all those responsibilities I had, they were taking a toll on my health because they're highly stressful work environments, stressful responsibilities. You have a lot on your plate and you're only one person. So understanding that my health started with me prioritizing myself first, me loving myself first. So that is what I teach my clients, and I help them implement in their day-to-day life as they go through my health coaching program, that you have to love yourself first. every day. If you want to be healthy, if you want to get healthy, that way you can continue to pour into those that you love.
Right. I mean, it's hard enough to love yourself first when you're a parent, but a parent of a child with additional needs, then you're doing so many more things that are not in the parenting manual. They weren't in the book. They weren't part of the plan. And we find when we speak to love yourself first experts, we've had some really cool episodes. They all say the same thing. Parents are ridden with guilt. This idea that they should spend any of the little bit of time and resources that they have on themselves instead of just spending all of it on their kids is counterintuitive. What do you have to say about that?
It is counterintuitive, Kim. I have friends now who find it very difficult to wrap their minds around that concept of yet putting themselves first, but just doing anything for themselves. And then they don't even know what it is. What it is that because they haven't tapped into what their needs are. So they're not really even sure what their needs are so that they can really put themselves first. But it's so important that we have the me time, that we also have an identity separate from our kids. And because with that identity, you can really start identifying what you need, what you need for yourself to do for relaxation, for grounding, for recentering. That is all important, especially when you have the extra responsibilities that come with having a child that has extra needs. And so it can be difficult to want to put yourself first to even know what that means.
So would you say then, because I mean, you're a coach, right? So you have people come to you to get back to, you know, switch from surviving to thriving.
Yes.
They're barely hanging on and it's something happens and they decide I got to do something to help me. So, and I want to talk about preventing that from happening, maybe taking steps earlier in the journey so that you don't wait till the last minute to ask somebody to help you.
Mm-hmm.
But speaking to our parents, our autism parents specifically, you and I, from our comfortable chairs, find it very easy to understand that a portion of the resources need to be allocated to themselves as a parent. Otherwise, they will not be effective as parents. But so how much, if you had $100 and 100 hours in the week to spend on you, the family, or the kid, where would you allocate the resources in percentage wise, I guess?
Yeah, if oh yeah, okay, we can split it up. So that's great. It's I think that allocation is going to be individualized for each person, right? Depending what they need. But I would say generally, because it's so important, I'm going to lead into why I'm going to give this answer, why I'm going to give percentage. You cannot give what you do not have. You cannot give what you do not have. So that percentage for yourself needs to be more than what you are going to give, what you have for the remainder. Because if you have 60%, you can give, say, 40, but then you can probably give a little bit more because you have 60 to spare, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm saying that percentage, that part of the pot has to be greater for you as the parent so that you can have something more to pour in if needed.
Hang on a second. I think you just dropped a bomb here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to unpack it. You said, give myself a bigger portion because that is going back to the child anyway.
It may need to. It may need to.
Mm-hmm.
But at least
Because
you'll have
your
that.
job is, your mom or your dad, you're a caregiver
Right.
for that child. So that's your job. That's part of your job description.
Mm-hmm.
If you're an autism parent, you're also a whole lot more. You're also an IEP manager. You're also a therapy manager. You're also a, adult transition manager in ways that just you know, you can't take anything for granted with a kid with autism sometimes, and so you have to. There's so much more you do. So
Mhm.
you need more so you can do more of these. But all of these tasks have to do with the child anyway. And you're saying if you give 80%, 90%, parents probably give 110% to the child and go into debt, mentally, physically, socially, financially over time. So let's say they're giving 110 or 120% and they got 0% left. That 0% is what they use to do all the other things. Did I get that right?
Yeah, 0% is what they used to do all the other things. They have nothing left. And I think because we're talking about numbers, and another part of that puzzle, though, is the quality, right? Because numbers, we're only looking at, say, quantity, how much time, how much, how much, how much. But if you have 40% that you're given towards your responsibilities with your child, the quality of that is very important.
That's what I'm missing. Sorry, I think I finally got it. The reason I was sounding hesitant earlier, I missed a bit. They're not
Mhm.
getting 120. They're getting 120% of zero.
Mm.
So if you give them 40% of 60%, they're getting more than zero,
Zero.
than the 120 of zero, because the 120% is going to the child is coming from what you have.
Exactly. It's still coming from what the
So
parent has.
actually, so if you give 90% to yourself, 10% is left for them. They're getting 10% of 90%, which is more, you still than 40% of 60%.
Yeah. So
I'm
what I'm
starting
saying
to get
is
it.
you're giving yourself more so that you can give more. You can give
Yes.
more rather than being drained out, bottomed out, burned out. You can still give more. But not that you are like dipping your child from the care and
Mm.
love and attention that they need, and deserve, but more so that your tank has to be full. Your tank has to be full so that you can provide, so that you can support your child.
So how do you fill your tank then? So basically, I mean, I was kind of hoping that during this episode we would talk about nutrition genomics for the kids, because
Mm-hmm.
they're the ones that are struggling with, the symptoms associated with autism. I'm talking about the anxiety. I'm talking about the sleep deprivation. I'm talking about
Right.
the sometimes very limited diet. I'm talking about the low energy. I'm talking about the cognitive difficulties.
Right.
Um,
I have to stop you, please, because I'm so bad with numbers. And 100% and 10%, I'm lost. I have a question about the moms because we know that they are exhausted, they don't take care of themselves, and suddenly they listen to the podcast, and there is hope that there is a reason for the exhaustion and the difficulties with sleep, and that answer would come from the DNA testing that the Tamar is doing. So tell me, how long, let's say today, I send you a sample, I send you and you analyze DNA, basically a very simplistic question from an ignorant person. How long before I feel better after listening, after being coached? And I'm not discussing ever like I'm going to be a very good client. I will just take everything you tell me and I will do everything really well. So tell me, how is that going to go?
That's an excellent question, Claudie. I've had clients typically within the first 7 to 10 days, they start seeing a difference in how they feel.
Wow.
So energy level, mood, even weight loss. So I've had clients who haven't been able to lose weight in years, and
Mm,
within 7 to 10 days, that scale starts budging. And it's amazing because once you tap into your genetics and what your body is telling you you need, how quick those results start
mm,
happening. The test itself takes about 4 to 5 weeks to get those results to come back. But in the meantime, while we're waiting for the test, I start all my clients on understanding the basics of healthy nutrition. And the first 2 weeks, they're working on their mindset and developing a sleep routine. I have sleep as the number one action step after mindset improvement, because so many health conditions stem from a lack of sleep. And it's so important that we get the appropriate amount of sleep, the 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep every single day, in order for our health and our body to start working and functioning appropriately. I see it as sleep as a way for our body to start refreshing. It's like our cells went through a car wash and they got a bath, and now they're refreshed and able to just reset and start from new. But yeah, within 7 to 10 days, they start feeling different.
That is fabulous, because it's a week. And then, as you were saying initially, a parent who is in a good shape can do things, but be happy about it and not feel drained all the time. So that's amazing. Tell me, is it complicated? For example, the sleep routine. For us, we're also focusing on sleep with children with special needs. And we find that parents start to have better sleep simply because they're not interrupted. But I recommend to have a scent on the pillow so that the brain can produce and release more dopamine during sleep. I asked them to give a foot massage and a hand massage as the child is maybe listening to a story, or as well listening to orchestral music. So those components are what we ask the parents to bring in. Does it make sense for you as a pharmacist and an expert?
Oh, definitely. That's a great. I would like to have my feet massaged before I go to sleep. Those type of sensory activities are beneficial. I can definitely see how that would be beneficial. And for the parent themselves, once they have get their child down to sleep, their routine, what they do for themselves, is going to be very important in the quality of sleep that they get. Are they on their phones? Is the TV on? Is there a TV in the room? And scents, the smells are very important as well, like lavender. Scents can be very helpful to relax. I've had clients who like to take a bath with lavender and some other dried herbs and Epsom salts before bedtime as part of their bedtime routine. It's just important that there's so many different things you can do. Each individual has to find what works for them, and it has to be something that they can continually do. And doesn't seem like it's a task or a chore, but they enjoy doing it when it comes to developing that sleep routine.
So the question I had was, generally speaking, as a parent who works with you, how complicated is it do I have to go to special shops to buy the food that I need that is really good for me? How much different is it from my life, and how easy is it to put in place?
Yeah, in general, it's very easy. I don't require that anyone goes to any special food store. If they choose to, that's their decision. What I teach them is how to make the better choices. So with foods, I'm teaching whole foods. Shop at the perimeter of a supermarket, because that's where you're going to get the fresh produce. And if they eat meat, also they can go to the deli and buy the fresh meat as well. And how to read ingredients, how to read a package label, what type of ingredients do they want to look out for, types of healthy fats, how they can identify that and start cooking more with those healthier types of fat versus plant-based or vegetable oils, or frying foods. So I teach them the habits that they need to have and also just what they need to look out for, just the concepts of healthy eating and food. And I help them apply that in their life. So whatever store they decide to go to is going to be their decision. But I make it as easy as possible for them. Because you said I'm a coach. I can't do it for them. They have to do it for themselves. And what I've learned in my 4 years of doing this is they have to make that decision themselves. That way they will continue doing it. If I tell them, this is where you need to go, this is what you need to eat, then it's not likely to happen. So they need to find what they enjoy doing, what they enjoy eating, what stores do they like, so that it can be consistent and enjoyable to them.
Yeah. It's
Claudie, the geek in me is dying to see what those DNA reports look like.
yeah.
Do you have would it be possible for you to give us an anonymous example of what a genomic nutrigenomic, is that how you say it? Nutrigenomic report?
You say it fast, nutrigenomic. Yeah.
Nutrigenomic.
Yes, I can show you that. Let's put this over here on my other screen. Am I able to share?
So the ones lucky enough to watch this will be able to see. Otherwise, we'll do as good a job as we can describing the lines that we're reading.
Okay.
And we will give Tamar's contact so that they get their own.
Oh yeah.
Okay, let me know if you're able to see the screen.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
Okay.
yeah.
Before I get to this pathway here, I'm going to scroll all the way up. This is page 8 of the report. I'm going to go to page 3 up 2 of the report because this report is very colorful, as you can see. And
I love the colors.
I use the company 3x4 Genetics for my genetic test, and they take a systems-based approach and they color code they give you the top 3 areas of most impact on your health. So based on your genetic blueprint, they will identify 3 areas to focus on that would be most impactful. Meaning that
so
if you
burgundy and purple are the top 2, right? Very high
2.
impact and high impact. And then we go into green for medium, low impact yellow. Okay.
And orange beneficial. So the test is going to give us the purples as the answers. Now, when you work with me, they're going to be multiple purples, but they're going to give you the top highest scoring purples. Now, when you work with me, something may not come up in purple that you express that you have concern about. I still have access to the rest of your blueprint through our portal, so I can extract that and work with you on those results. But this is going to tell us the top 3 most impactful areas to start working on. So we're looking for the purples. Now, I'm going to go back to page 8 because earlier I was talking about looking at things from a cellular level or taking a systems-based approach. These are all the areas, these pathways here, that the test can actually produce results on. So we have inflammation, methylation, oxidative stress, detoxification, and
that
so
would be
forth.
for the cellular report. And you got a systems report that says, okay, here's some ideas for mood and behavior, hormonal balance, collagen, joints, memory, and brain health, all the way to glucose regulation. It's the same data, but it's categorized differently depending on what you want to look at. Am I getting this right?
Exactly.
Okay.
And now you see the purple in each section. So those are areas of either high impact or very high impact. So for this example, let's see how the results are produced or broken down for us. So very high, dark purple is the area of inflammation. So this will be an area of very high impact. So if we focus on inflammation, we can start seeing some improvement. My patients who usually get inflammation as very high or high are people who are pre-diabetic or they have autoimmune conditions already.
Can you clarify what you mean by clients who get inflammation as very high? Does that mean that they have very high inflammation in their bodies, or does it mean something else? Does it mean
Not necessarily.
Okay. Can you clarify?
Yeah. This test is referring to how impactful will focusing on inflammation be for your health.
All right.
So it's
so
very
of all
high
the
impact.
areas of health, for this particular person, everything else seems to be doing okay, but if they focused on inflammation, they would have a huge impact on everything.
Exactly.
Okay.
And it's going to give you three. It's going to give you the top three. So there might
And
be
it's cool.
three
I like that
purple.
because I have a sense that inflammation we know is an issue of high importance for people with developmental delays to the extent that there are some treatments that seem to have some effect on the health of those people and the cognitive benefits just by helping the body deal with inflammation a bit better.
Yes.
So I'm happy to pick that as an example because that could be a good way using foods and other types of health advice that would have an impact on the body's inflammation.
Yes,
Who
indeed.
else tends to have, you said people with prediabetes tend to have inflammation issues.
Arthritis, autoimmune disease.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah. Those are the three type of clients that I've seen that come across my way specifically that have those conditions that usually get a high or very high area of impact to focus on as inflammation. And as you mentioned, and inflammation is tied in with a variety of different disease states. Here it's breaking down. It says irritable bowel syndrome. It mentions autoimmune conditions, arthritis, eczema, and several other diseases. Now, inflammation is a natural, normal process of our body, but chronic inflammation, where our body is consistently in this inflammatory state, is where the problems begin. So the test.
I love the example that's mentioned here. When you bump your toe and it becomes swollen, that's the inflammatory response working to speed up the healing.
Yes.
But sometimes injuries or irritations are internal and they just stay there, just like never resolve. And so the body is in a constant state of trying to speed up the healing of something that is not healing.
Yeah.
Am I describing this right?
That is so right. That's exactly right, Kim. And when you hear that, you can see how naturally this can lead into stress on the body as well, right? Leading stress on the body.
I mean, Claudie, do you remember the kids with cerebral palsy that we worked with and you saw in the studies that there is a predisposition to type 2 diabetes in those people just because of the constant pain and stress that they were under. Is that right? Do I remember?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. We had two, in fact, of those children, and it's definitely not something that the families know, that some therapists are aware of. And I remember when we were working with those children, trying to work with the people. It was a special program of movement, and it was very painful, trying to help them understand that pain is bad, that you don't need to give more pain to those children. We were not very successful at the time.
One question about kids versus parents. One, we've established, okay, parents work on yourself first, and that way you have a much bigger cup, and this cup is much fuller, more at a time to serve and give care and manage all the things that you have to manage for your children. But does this work also with, do you have to be an adult to do this DNA test and to get this report, or can you get this report for kids as well?
You can get this report for kids because you're born through DNA. It's not going to change. So kids can have this test as well.
So you mentioned DNA. This report is saying that based on your genetics, your body is more likely to be in a state of inflammation than others, and therefore you acting on counteracting this inflammation is what has the biggest impact on your body.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. So based on your genetics, they're finding something going on genetically that you're not likely to deal with inflammation as well, or you're more prone to have inflammation. So we're taking precautionary measures. Now, people might already come to me in these inflammatory states, and the recommendations that the test gives will still be beneficial for them to apply in their lives as well.
Okay, that's awesome. This idea of
Mhm.
preventing and thriving, that's really cool. So this person's got a body. Let's pretend for a second, and I know, and I may be completely incorrect in my assumption that a lot of our kids on the autism spectrum are probably genetically disposed to have to not be dealing with inflammation quite as well, and so that they would have a purple line for inflammation. So
Mhm.
let's read what this report says that people could do to help.
So there are three ways that we can focus, three things we can focus on to start helping with inflammation. The first way is nutrition. The second way is our lifestyle, which is going to involve activities that we can do and also our environment. And then the third way are supplements that we could use to help with inflammation. So when it comes to our nutrition, we recommend including organic, non-GMO, anti-inflammatory foods, herbs, spices. So there's berries, cocoa, olives, hazelnuts, dark chocolate, wild caught fatty
Mhm.
fish. And you see it keeps going. It gives
Mm.
so many different recommendations. So nothing is limited, right? I think that's a good variety. And then what's very
So does
important,
that
go
mean
ahead.
that on average, people should eat berries because it's good for them. It's got anti-inflammatory properties. But
Yes,
for people who with inflammation as purple, they should eat more berries.
not necessarily more, but it will be more beneficial for them because they have this area of high impact.
Mhm.
Right. So not necessarily that they will need to eat more berries than an average
I was
person.
really hoping you were going to give me permission to have more dark chocolate.
Hey, but unsweetened. Not too much sugar
I
there.
love my chocolate dark. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, not too much sugar though. And but yeah, these are foods you definitely want to have as part of your nutrition every single day, every meal that you have. If you're
So if you go
Mhm.
online and look up ideal sort of quantities and mixes and how to involve all of those things in a varied diet. That's what you would do after reading this line. How
I
or
do even
you
better.
need okay.
So 3x4 Genetics partners with a meal planning company that creates recipes that are linked to the DNA results of this
Wow.
test. So for example, there's an inflammatory meal plan that would link to
Mhm.
these results here for this particular client. So I enroll my clients into that meal plan. But what I encourage them to do is choose recipes. I don't encourage plan your meal for breakfast, lunch, and dinner every single day because that can
Mhm.
be stressful. But I feel like it's better that if they understand what type of foods they need to incorporate in their life, then they can just have fun with it and create their own recipes or try this new recipe on the meal planner. So this
Mhm.
links specifically to their genetic test results, this meal planner.
Mhm.
So no Google needed.
Yeah, there you
Love
go.
it.
It's all here.
Yes.
Um, I and in the lifestyle section, it says
Mm-hmm.
here limit exposure to environmental inflammatory triggers. We know what those are, all the stuff that's in all the chemicals that are in foods, all the chemicals that are in products that we put on in our hair or on our skin, all those things, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at row number 2, and I'm excited about this one. But before we talk about it, let's talk about row number 3. So what in lifestyle, according to this report, has the biggest impact on inflammation?
Here it's saying relaxation techniques to reduce exposure to stress hormones, right? So we are relaxing to keep the stress hormones at bay. Meditation, yoga, qigong, massages, and also good sleep hygiene.
So exposure to stress hormones is cortisol, right?
Yes.
Adrenaline, I mean, adrenaline, cortisol are the same,
Right.
or are they not?
Different, but yeah.
Claudie, what's I've heard you talk about cortisol a lot. Does
Linked.
boosting serotonin have a counteracting effect on cortisol? Does it make the body produce less cortisol to induce a surge of serotonin? How does
Well, if
what
we
we do
talk,
with
yeah,
smell and
doing
touch and music?
Yeah, all of those things that we do lead to the child being able to relax. And that is a key for parents is, okay, you have something that you can do. And we mentioned massage, and we do smell, and we do this back rub several times a day that will boost serotonin. If you feel good and calm, chances to get defeated by something that causes anxiety are higher. But the long-term effect of enrichment is to make the brain resilient to the attacks, and that can be being resilient to stressors. So it's a long-term plan, but it involves the wonderful, delicious things of life. And I can see and hear on the list, the recommendation is, okay, massage is there. We have also, we recommend, and I heard you, Tamar, mention physical exercise. And it's sometimes a discovery for the parents we work with, because they say, well, he's running all day. I say, that's not physical exercise. That's him being unable to control movement and has to be moving, but he doesn't get tired. And that always is amazing. He runs all day, he's never tired. Well, because he does it a certain way. So I asked parents, figure a way where your child is going to do physical exercise and will be able to expel all this, the wiggles. That's not scientific, the wiggles, but parents get that one.
Yeah.
I think we need to add a line number 4 then to this lifestyle section. We need to add sensory enrichment therapy in there to build the brain's resilience to stress hormones. There
I
you
like
go.
that. I like that. And you're so right. Like movement, moving around or having the wiggles as you described is different from exercise, because like exercise such as taking a brisk walk, when you feel stressed, or it can help reduce stress because you're doing deeper breathing, and and that will help relieve muscle tension and just being able to have some more mental focus and clarity, and as a result feel more calm. So yeah, what the type of exercise makes a difference.
Great. We're on the same page.
And then
I think so. I mean, I see. There's another section with vitamins and things like that. Claudie, do you want to hear about that for
Yes.
inflammation, or do you want to look at other types of purples?
Well, we're going to let Tamar tell us what we need to know first, because I'm disorganized. I'm going to want to know everything, and we're here for 2 days at least. So Tamar,
Right.
tell me what is the most urgent for me to know.
When it comes to our supplements and recommendations here, these are supplements that are known to reduce inflammation. So there's something here called specialized pro-resolving mediators. Just again, they just help with reducing inflammation. And then we've all heard of zinc, selenium, curcumin, maybe not boswellia, but then there's quercetin and luteolin. Those affect the mast cell activation. So when you get a cut, the mast cells are activated to just go to that site, and that contributes to inflammation. So these are like blocking the inflammatory response, that they're as a result reducing inflammation. And then we have fat soluble vitamins A, D3, and E. Now, you can get these nutrients and vitamins from the foods you eat. Another initiative I have with my clients is to reduce the pill burden, reduce the need for more medications. And all these are, although they are supplements, to me, they're still pills, they're still medications, because you take them, they have an effect, right? But if we can focus on nutrition, that way we don't have another big pill to swallow. I'd rather my clients do that. So if they want to, I don't push anything on them. I show them the recommendation for the supplements. If they decide they want to try to supplement, they can do so. And I have a supplement store. They get a huge discount on getting those supplements through me. But if they want to, they can. But I really encourage them to do the nutrition, because food is fun. Food is delicious.
Yeah,
I'd
I
rather
agree.
eat than swallow like 8 big pills a day.
Uh-huh.
Cool,
So,
cool. Claudie, let's see. Let's think about our the inflammation thing is super interesting because of the autism issue. So I feel like we've looked at an issue that's prevalent in the kids, but we went, we put the horse before the cart or the cart before the horse. Anyway, we went in the wrong order. Is there one, Claudia, that you think is an issue that for a lot of the stressed out parents? Maybe this is a question for you, Tamar. Have you seen an issue, that the clients that come to you in a state of stress because of caregiving? Have you seen that caregiving puts,
Oh
I don't
yeah.
know.
Yeah. Yes. This caregiver was caring for her son who was developmentally disabled, and I'm sorry, her uncle, and she was stressed. She was the kind of person that did everything for everybody, did nothing for herself, and
uh-huh.
also no one did anything for her.
Mm.
So very stressed out with the caretaking role. And for her, she actually came to me for hormone help, but inflammation did come up for her as well as oxidative stress for her as
Mm,
well. And it makes sense that oxidative stress became an issue because, as we mentioned earlier, with inflammation, it can be extra stress on the body, right?
Mhm.
So, if oxidative stress, um, that's stress in general as well on the body, affecting your energy levels, affecting um, so many different components of your health. Uh, and those recommendations, exercise was was an important factor because with her, she felt that when she could exercise, she was going to make it very strenuous. It was
Mhm.
going to be something like boot campish, you know,
Oh.
um, because it was short and she could just get the best, feel
Mhm.
the best results in a short period of time. But with oxidative stress, when it came to physical activity, that recommendation was you need to do more relaxing activities and actually avoid high intensity exercises.
Mm.
like walking by the river in the morning.
Yeah, walking, swimming,
So
more low
I'm
impact.
speaking for myself here. I
Mhm.
I do two types of exercises. I do high intensity for 10, 15 minutes because I feel like it's the best bang for my buck. Um, but I have a sense I think I need to get offline here and do a quick consultation. Well, not a quick consultation. I'd love to know what my DNA says about where I need to make changes
Mhm.
in my lifestyle to have the biggest impact because I want to thrive.
Yeah,
And who doesn't, right? Who
I
doesn't want
want
to
you to
thrive?
thrive. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like I said, you never know. Like it might say that high intensity is perfectly fine for you, Kim. You never
Uh-uh.
know. So, I mean, you
I've
said no.
gone,
I
I
always said no.
went, so well, no, I think I've had enough visits to the doctor and it feels like stress, oxidative stress, or any form of stress is having an impact on my health.
Mhm.
I wouldn't be surprised if the report said that that's because my body doesn't handle stress quite as well, and because of my DNA somehow. And I'd love to know how to make an impact on that.
But it's not my fault.
It's
Let's
not your fault.
state that.
That's right. It's genetic, but it has nothing
Not
to do with
hereditary.
my mom.
Oh,
Yeah.
and on that
It,
point, yeah, it might be genetic, but it doesn't mean. There's a phrase I don't remember where I heard it from. That by using my presentations, and it says your genetics load the gun, but your lifestyle pulls the trigger.
Mhm.
So that's why you can. I was at a convention. I spoke at a convention last week, and this woman comes up to me and she says, "Yeah, but I have high blood pressure, but my mom doesn't.
Mm.
So I don't think it's genetic." And I said, "Not
Uh-huh.
necessarily. It might be
Uh-huh.
genetic, but your mom's lifestyle, her eating habits may be completely different from yours. So that hypertension gene or factors, genes that affect your blood pressure have not been triggered or activated, turned on or turned off, depending which way it goes, to provide that blood pressure support. But if your lifestyle is not in helping or aiding your genes or supporting your genes, then hypertension might manifest.
And what you're saying is reassuring. That means if you have that issue and you look at it the right way, meaning what is your DNA telling, and then following your advice, we can reverse this bad situation.
Right. Exactly.
That's wonderful.
I just saw the time. We have to stop. I was hoping to look at a second example. Here's what we're going to do. Tamar, do you have 10 more minutes?
I do, yes.
Perfect. So I'm going to say to our listeners, guys, thank you for listening. You're free to go, but we're going to go and look at another example of as part of that report. Tamar, please guide us here. Think about our parents and our caregivers, what you see a lot in maybe women, or what area would you want to look at?
I really want to look at methylation because it's a term that not many people are familiar with, but they don't realize how it impacts a lot of what goes on in our health. And that's also on this report. So
Let's do it.
Let me pull this back up. Here we go. Okay. I'm going to read it here. So each part of a report it's not going to just say, oh, methylation is an area you need to work on. This is what you do. It's going to explain to you a little bit about methylation. So here we see it says it's a biochemical process of making sure every cell is functioning optimally. It's not just responsible for how we repair genetic material, but also how we make energy, respond to stress, handle inflammation, how well our cells detoxify, and how our brain chemistry works. It's like methylation is just all in one. It's so important. And it's involved in turning our genes on or off. Have you ever thought about that as a concept? Like when I first started studying this, it blew my mind that, wait, my genes can be turned on or off? What do you mean?
Yeah, we want to know more about that.
Yeah. So we may be able to reduce our risk of developing certain diseases and some types of cancers by optimizing methylation. So going to turning our genes on or off, for example, the blood pressure is like I gave before. So you might have a gene that makes you higher risk for hypertension. If it's on, that might mean that you're good. You're not likely to develop hypertension. If it's off, that might mean you're going to be likely to develop hypertension.
Can you, do you know the connection to with neurotransmitter production with methylation?
With the methylation? No, I don't know specifically with this one, but I'm sure there is a correlation. I can look into that and let you know some information on that. But I'm sure there is a correlation with neurotransmitters and methylation since it's so involved in a lot of our body function.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I know methylation is part of it because and I need to connect you with her, this other doctor that I interviewed, and she does genetic testing specifically with anything affecting the brain and mood. Yeah, she focuses on that.
I mean, it sounds sexy. It sounds important to focus on the brain, but aren't we missing
The gut.
a big part of the picture?
Yeah.
I mean, what's the point of focusing on the brain if you're not going to make sure that your oxidative stress is under control, if your methylation is under control, or it feels like a marketing gimmick almost.
Well, yeah, it's just a terminology, but when we look underneath, that's what we're going to find. The methylation, the inflammation, the gut health.
Yeah.
when we look under it, when we lift up that cover, that's what we'll see. But yeah, for marketing, what everyone's going to understand in layman terms is the brain.
It's true. It's true. So,
Yeah.
I mean, you could say that you're working on the brain, right?
Yes, yes. I
I
say, but
I just did
instead,
a quick
mhm,
search online for methylation and neurotransmitter production, and it says that the methylation cycle is critical for producing neurotransmitters like serotonin, dopamine, norepinephrine.
yeah, methylation just is a catalyst for everything else. That's where it
Oh.
starts. Yeah. So just like the other report, it's going to give you nutrition, lifestyle, environmental changes to make, as well as supplements that are recommended.
So I see here that the
Mhm.
first thing in lifestyle for methylation is using those daily relaxation techniques to reduce exposure to the stress hormone. Can you tell me how cortisol impacts methylation?
Right. So with the again with the cortisol is going to be released as a response to stress. Again, we're having a lot of stress on the body, which is going to lead to inflammation as well. So with the methylation, we want to do whatever we can to boost how well our cells are actually working to methylize, to actually do the process of methylation.
Mm.
So if we can reduce that stress in our body, we can provide that extra support that our cells need to work and do what they need to do when it comes to methylation.
Mm-hmm. And I like that there is a solution, for example, to reduce the stress. We cannot prevent parents who have a child with special needs to be stressed by everything, but there are tools to make that stress not harmful or make you stronger for it.
Exactly. The same sense.
Mm-hmm.
Now
Same
make
sense.
us salivate. What kind of food do we need to eat to have an
Mhm.
impact on our body's ability to methylate? Is it I just invented a
Yes.
new word?
No, that's a word. Oh, so yeah, this is focusing on B complex vitamins, um, magnesium, choline, and this is recommended 3 to 4 servings of leafy and cruciferous vegetables, raw specifically, so that what we actually need in it is not
Do you mean
denatured
kale? We have to eat raw kale? I can only eat
broccoli.
it cooked or frozen. Raw is nasty.
Hey, we can get creative, make some smoothies out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Let me tell you,
smoothies.
my clients, when I recommended kale, they all have the same response, just like you did, just like you did. And then they try it, and they like it better than spinach.
Oh.
They like it better than spinach.
Okay, so if I could, so I'm seeing the list here. I'm seeing avocado, which is not my favorite food either. Okay, so citrus fruits, I'm okay. Legumes, excellent. Poultry, excellent. Eggs, lovely. Nuts and seeds. So I just need, if I get a smoothie every day,
Hmm.
with kale in it, and I put some lime or lemon. I don't know if I'll put chicken in my smoothie though.
No.
Uh-uh.
No. So you can still have other foods, but
That's right.
make sure that kale is in there. And that's 3 to 4 servings, Kim. Don't, it's not just one. It's not just one smoothie.
Ouch.
So a combination, right, of those. So yeah, salad, smoothie in the morning, salad for lunch, and
Yeah,
maybe
but kale salad.
side salad in the evening. But we have kale, we have broccoli, we have spinach, there's collard greens, there's so many other dark leafy green vegetables that we
Okay,
can do. But this
okay.
specifically says raw, so you want to choose the ones that taste a little
I'm
bit
gonna need to
better
have a
when
look
they're
at that
raw.
menu of yours.
Yeah, you'll get some good recipes, some good recipes.
Mm-hmm.
And then with the proteins, quality proteins. And it says this is essential because they're building blocks for methylation, these
Mm-hmm.
proteins. And they also have, we want foods that are rich in B12, vitamin B12, and raw wild caught fish, organic
Mhm.
poultry. Again, we're talking about quality of the meats. When we're going to eat these meats, grass-fed meats or wild game. And then we have garbanzo beans and edamame. So those are good sources of protein. And then,
And are those like better sources of proteins because we're looking at methylation, or is it better sources of protein for anything that protein would be useful for?
in general, these will be
Okay.
better sources of protein for anything.
All
Yeah.
right. So if we're going to have protein, make sure it's grass-fed or wild game.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
And
And
garbanzo beans. I don't know what garbanzo beans are.
the chickpeas.
Chickpeas. All right. Oh, yes.
Yes.
I like
So
chickpeas.
now you got the kale, put some garbanzo beans, chickpeas in that salad. All right. And I'm not selling you on the kale, am I?
And a lot of dressing.
And we get some recipes for dressing too, some healthy recipes for dressings. And yeah, you can make that salad. You can make it work. And we want to support toxin breakdown. It's important for methylation. And again, it's going to be those dark green leafy vegetables and cruciferous vegetables. Green and black teas are excellent for that as well, to break down toxins. And again, support B vitamin absorption with fermented foods, adequate fiber, and limited alcohol. So B vitamins are very important when it comes to methylation. That's recurring.
Why does it say limit
recommendation.
alcohol and not just no alcohol?
Well, moderation is
When I'm
key.
reading this, I'm saying limit your alcohol. Is okay, that means alcohol is bad, so just no alcohol. Or is there a value in a little bit?
Well, it depends on the type of alcohol, right? And in general, when it comes to detoxification, alcohol can affect that because it's affecting our liver, right? So a little bit in moderation is not bad in general for anything, not for alcohol. But when the reason I would say this specifically for methylation, and we're talking about the toxin breakdown portion of things, because the toxins our liver is involved in the toxin breakdown, we wouldn't want a lot of alcohol to affect that process at all.
All right, because I'm also seeing, limit exposure to substances that overload the methylation cycle, including endocrine disruptors. In a previous one where we looked at, limit exposure to environmental toxins. So when I hear limit, I'm hearing just don't do it. Just don't do it. If you can, just don't. Or are they just trying to be practical and realistic?
I think they're trying to be practical and realistic because we're trying to help people make adjustments to their lifestyle, right? And taking small steps is very important. Very important. These changes can be very expensive changes if done all at once. All of a sudden, we're eating organic everything. All of a sudden, we are replacing our entire kitchen cookware.
That's right. It says here, and avoid external toxins like pesticides, plastic packaging, Teflon cooking utensil, cleaning products, cosmetics, synthetic clothing. Also eliminate toxins that cause DNA damage, such as heavy metals, arsenic, cadmium, lead, pesticides, contaminated drinking water. Yeah.
So at this space area, this is where I will talk with my client and see what areas they need to work on. Some may already be doing some of this. They may already have stopped drinking out of plastic bottles. They may have already, this doesn't mention air fresheners here, but those plugins are toxic as well. So we just take small steps because it can be overwhelming. One, to see all this, but that's why I work with them for 4 months to make these changes. And it can be expensive, as I mentioned. So just one step at a time. And like I said, 7 to 10 days, small changes, they see those results right away, very quick.
All right,
mainly with
Tamar,
the
now's the
nutrition.
time for you to give us a success story. Give us your most fun or most surprising story of somebody that saw that report, implemented the changes, and then they saw what?
You know what? I will have to give the most recent experience is with a client who came to me because she has autoimmune disease. And she was diagnosed about a year and a half before she came to me. And in autoimmune disease, they can't really pinpoint exactly what it is. So they just generalize it. Autoimmune disease, not really sure what the cause is. She had COVID back in 2021, and ever since then, it's been downhill. And now she has autoimmune disease. So maybe related to that, maybe not, but it is an inflammatory disease. They look at inflammation, inflammatory markers to see how well therapy is going. So they put her on the medications. She also was obese, wanted to lose weight, but she's on steroids now, which make you gain weight, make it difficult to lose weight. She's on another medication that suppresses her appetite, so she's not eating. So she comes to me and says, I don't understand why I can't lose weight, for one, because I'm not eating. So then educating her about how the body responds when you're not really eating, it's counterproductive. It's going to hold on to your weight, and you're not going to really, it's not going to want to use the energy that you have, and it's going to store it. So you'll gain weight. And those inflammatory markers were not going down. They were going up, even with medications. So she came to me and I said, okay, this is what we'll do. We'll do your genetic test report, nutrigenomic report. We'll see what areas come back. And then we'll work together for the next 4 months to implement the plan that the test recommends, as well as my protocol that I have for all my patients to follow, or clients to follow. And of course, inflammation came back as a factor for her. And we followed that, pretty much what we went over. Let me scroll up this protocol right here for inflammation, because hers was very high impact. By 3 months, she got her doctor had her test again for inflammatory markers. And I'm telling you, the line went down like this.
Oh, wow.
Her inflammatory markers dropped after she started implementing these. Within 2 weeks, her appetite came back. I helped her just learn how to eat smaller quantities of food, smaller meals, incorporating the foods in her tests that were recommended under inflammation.
Yeah, this is the nice list. This is the chocolate list.
Yeah, she got
Not the
chocolate.
kale
She
list.
got are the berries on this one? Yeah, she was doing berries. She was doing blueberries, and she was doing soups as well. So that was good for her, soups with the kale. And so that was so yeah, she was doing soups and she was doing the berries till her appetite came back, and then she was able to incorporate more foods. But she was also exercising now. She was walking daily. And so she was able to start losing the weight. Those inflammatory markers were coming down. And her doctor said, wow, you're doing great. What are you doing? And she told, oh, I'm working with Dr. Lawful as my health coach. And she said, okay, well, keep it up. Keep it up. So I'm still working with her. And consistency is key. Consistency is key in everything that we tackle with our clients.
Yeah, and being able to do more things, it must be so exciting. And yeah, feeling healthy.
Yeah, she's not. Yeah, she was. I mean, she's past surviving. She was not surviving when she got to you. She was past that level. And now she's on the way to thriving.
Indeed, and I didn't mention she was also on pain medications. She was taking, she said 800 milligrams, I think 3 times a day of ibuprofen, and she was taking tramadol. She was, by month 3, she was able to just take 200 milligrams in the morning, and she just did it just in case. She was like, I don't even think I feel pain. I don't feel pain. I just take it just in case. So her pain was at a very minimal as well by making these changes.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for talking to us, Dr. I wanted to say Dr. Lawful, but
it's Tamar. Yeah.
Dr. Tamar, here we go. Thank you so much for guiding us and explaining to us the importance of food in turning on and off your genes. I mean, there's tons we talked about, but of all the things you talked about, that was probably the most surprising for me. What was it for you, Claudie?
I think that one as well. But also the detail of what is impacting on your health and how simple it is to restore. Like eat the food that's right for you, pay attention to your vitamins, but being coached. And you say 4 months, it's very short, 4 months. And being able to ask a question and get advice, get meal suggestions,
Yes.
you feel, okay, all I have to do is just follow and
Yeah.
don't have to make much effort and my health comes back.
Yeah, and it's truly personalized because anyone could go on Google and search, what should I do for X, Y,
Yeah.
and Z, and you'll get 20, maybe 100 different answers. This one, you're going to get the answer. The
Yeah, and
answer.
the difference
Best.
is
Yeah.
it will be my answer that you give me, not the answer that Google believes I want to listen to.
Ooh, good point. Yes. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much again, and everybody listening, have a blessed week.
Thank you for having me.
Bye.
Bye.